There's no better way to program your subconscious mind than listening to positive statements over and over. And there's no better way to do that than in a semi-meditative alpha brainwave state. I've created 3 prosperity meditations on hightimelinebooks.com to help you do just that. And for a limited time, you can get all 3 for the price of 2. So take your life to a higher vibe. Check them all out at hightimelinebooks.com. Welcome in to the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller coming to you from the road. Lord Jupiter, and it's going to be that way for a while too, actually, going to be on the road. And if you're part of our Facebook group, you can see my schedule. Going to try to do some meetups along the way, and that's all going to be hubbed right there in the Facebook group. Look for the little post with the van on it. Maybe we can connect if you're en route. And how do you get to that group? Well, the link is right at the top of the funastrology.com website. Now, Kristin's going to set the tone for the week. It's a little grumpy, I got to tell you. Hi, Kristin.
Hi, Thomas and Fun Astrology Podcast family. Happy Monday. This is not the week for risk-taking, especially on Wednesday with the full moon energy square Uranus. I would save any risky business for another week other than this one. To find out more Lucky Stars days coming up this month, and there are quite a few, join the Lucky Stars Club. Thomas and I can't wait to see you there. I hope you all have a great week.
And the link to that is also on the funastrology.com website. Okay, what do we have today? Well, this morning, the moon goes void of course. That happens at just shy of 9 o'clock Eastern. And it was just a quickie. It'll go until about noon. And then actually at right high noon Eastern time, whoosh, into Leo she goes. But like Kristin said, don't try to roar too loudly this week. Tomorrow, the big one, Liz Grace Christie has an excellent episode for us tomorrow. She's going to talk about the sun squaring Uranus. I've been doing this little weekly bit on a St. Louis radio station with Judy Diamond, and we talked about this last week. Jupiter and Uranus standing still. They both went from retrograde to forward direct, but they both are kind of like my van. They're kind of like Lord Jupiter. Takes a while to get it up to 55, 60, 70 miles an hour. You don't just go from 0 to there. Well, with 2 powerful outer planets like that, you don't just go from 0 to all as well. And we had all these plane crashes, and there were more after the 2 on, earlier last week, the one in Washington, D.C., then there was another one in Philadelphia, and then there were more toward the end of the week. And that's what I talked about on that podcast, and we've talked about it on here too, but I mean, just challenges, accidents, Uranus around transportation. Jupiter in the transportation sign of Gemini. And I'm glad I'm not traveling today because Mercury, speaking of, which rules transportation, is in a square to Uranus today. When? 2:27 p.m. I mentioned my little technique last week. If you missed it, how I kind of ask, am I going to return in the same condition I'm leaving? If you didn't catch that, go back. It was either Monday or Wednesday. It has been a spot-on technique, and I always ask that before I travel. Today would be a really good day to deploy that. Hey, I need to just run up to the post office. Will I return in the same condition? Because, I mean, culminating everything that we talked about, and this is probably why those additional accidents happened toward the end of the week, because we were moving right up into this aspect today. I don't want to see you guys on YouTube telling me that you had a fender bender. Just watch out. Ask, will I come back safely? Is my trajectory on this trip going to be safe? Will there be any accidents? And then listen to that intuitive voice. And keep this in mind all week, because look at what we have. We have Mercury and Uranus in a square. That's a challenge. Tomorrow, the Sun and Uranus in a square. That's a challenge. What happens to any planet right after it changes a sign? Pluto is like the troll under the bridge collecting the tax. It's standing right there. So Luna will be hitting Pluto this afternoon at 4:20. And with Pluto in Aquarius for the next rest of our lives, basically, and the moon in Leo, that's an opposition. So we have that working all day. And what would that look like? On a little short-term basis like this with the moon, it could mean some kind of an ending in order to clear the space for some kind of beginning, but it could have a little sting to it. Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio. As there always is with Pluto, if something is removed, something will be replaced that is better. Also, watch over aggression today. You don't want to tap into the negative side of Pluto's power, especially with the moon in Leo, so you're kind of feeling your oats. And it might be something that could have just slipped on by, but Pluto all of a sudden grabs a hold of it and magnifies it. And if you're testing intuition today, just be sure you ask several times. That's what I always do. I say, look, I'm thick-headed, and today I'll be saying, and the moon and Pluto are not just jiving right now, so if you don't mind, I'm going to ask several times. One quick little reminder before we wrap up here for today, don't forget tomorrow night is going to be your best viewing of the full moon. You'll have tomorrow night, probably the best, and then Wednesday evening will also be good. Full moon is on Wednesday in Leo. There is one other favorable aspect with the moon today as we get ready for Valentine's Day on Friday. Lucky Elisa Dixon gets to tell us about that, but we have a trine with Venus and the moon today. That's at 8:20 p.m., so we'll be living in that wonderful energy all day long. Be sure to tell somebody you love them, and if your mom is still on the planet, tell her especially. And if you're in a loving relationship, tell your Valentine that you love them. Don't do it Friday. Tell them now. Tell them right now. I mean, text them, call them. Dividends will pay if you do. And obviously, I love you, and I appreciate you listening. I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Liz Grace has a great episode for us tomorrow. Kristin and Elisa the rest of the week. I'll see you back on Wednesday and then again on Saturday. Thanks so much for listening.